In today's video, a woman asks men, why do you care if I have kids and how many baby daddies I have?
So I'm just curious, and this is for the guys out there. When you are dating or doing the online dating thing or attempting to find somebody, whatever, why is it important to ask a woman when she says that she's a mom of more than one child, how many dads the kids have? Like if they all have the same dad or not. And then after you get the answer, why do you judge that? Like, I get it. If I was like some fucking trollop, that had 10 kids with 11 dads and was raking in all the fucking child support, and all the shit and whatnot that you see people bitch about all the time, I get it. I would probably judge on that too. But like, why just judge when a woman says, I've got 4 kids? No, they don't all have the same dad, but one dad has raised them. Why immediately unmatch with that? Like, you didn't ask what the situation was. You didn't ask anything. Like, for all you know, my first husband could have died, and then I got remarried and had a kid with the second husband. I mean, that's not what happened in my situation.
Of course not.
Why do you even ask the question? Like, does it matter? Especially if the kids are damn near grown. You're not dating me to date my kids. Like, granted, eventually kids are going to be intertwined, but why does it fucking matter? I'm curious about that. Like, I'm not sitting there and asking you how many women you've stuck your dick into and possibly gotten pregnant. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand why there's that judgment and that stigma behind all of that. Can someone clarify, please? Thanks.
All right, there you guys have it. And before we go ahead and jump into the second half where she responds to some comments people made as far as lending their reason on why men do it, let's go ahead and break this first part down because she said a lot right there. And one of the main things I kind of took away from this was clearly she doesn't think that is really a relevant or important question for men to ask because it's so much nuance to it. Unless you're walking around with 10 kids by 11 different men, then, okay, it's understandable. And that's what makes this so funny because in order for what she's about to say, in order for it to make any sense, she has to first set it up by saying something so outlandish and so outrageous that the follow-up statement, well, that's not so bad. So 11 kids, 10 different men. Yeah, I get why men should question or not want that type of situation. But 4 kids by multiple men, 2, 3 guys, that's not nearly as bad as you guys make it seem. And so even on a baseline level, before we even start to get personal as far as her poor decision-making skills and any of that, if a man decides that he's going to commit to a woman who has children, the reality is that becomes his financial burden also. It don't matter if they got a father involved. If you guys are going to be together, you end up getting married, he's going to end up taking on the expenses that come along with having those kids living in the house. And so it's very relevant. Not only that, multiple baby daddies means more men involved in his life than maybe he even wants to have to deal with. Even if it's on the most basic level, because you got baby daddy number 1 who's going to come around to see his kids, and then you got baby daddy number 2 if he's coming around to see his kids, and you got baby daddy number 3 if he's coming around to see his kids. And so these are multiple men that are now a part of your lives together if he chooses to take you on. And for a lot of guys out there nowadays, that's not something they want to sign up for. Honestly, if she is a widow, now this wasn't her situation because she said this isn't her. She just wanted to try and bolster her argument by saying something that was not even occurring on a regular. Women aren't becoming widows, and that's the reason why they're single mothers or, aren't with the child's father. That's not what the normal circumstances are. But that's the argument she used. But even if that's the case, that would be the literal, perhaps, exception to the rule. If it was a wife and she was a widow and the husband passed away, maybe he was in the military or tragic accident, but that's not what normally happens, right? What normally happens if women are losing the man that they had a child with to an early abrupt death is because they was dealing with some guy who was involved in them streets, and his ops caught him slipping. And so it was some slow singing and some flower bringing. But let's go ahead and jump into this follow-up video and hear her response.
See, I've seen a similar comment to this throughout this thread. It gives insight into someone's judgment. But how does it give you insight into someone's judgment? Like, why are you even assuming, based on how many dads there are to kids, that that is any way, shape, or form the woman's fault? Why are you even thinking that it's like just because she's got 4 kids with 3 dads, she's promiscuous and around and getting pregnant and just popping babies out? Who cares? Willy-nilly style? Like, did you even consider that maybe, I don't know, like I said in the other video, maybe she got married, right? Her first husband died. Cool. So she got into another marriage later on. And what if that dude turned out to be a psychopathic hose beast, but he already gave her 3 kids? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all these different circumstances, and all of these comments keep telling me that all that you guys are doing is judging a woman based on the amount of kids and baby dads that they have. But it's not actually asking the question of what are the circumstances behind it? How do you co-parent with these baby dads? Like, what is your dynamic that is going on? Tell me more about the situation. You're judging based on a number. Period. It's not an accurate assessment. It's not an accurate judgment either. And to the women that you're asking, it's incredibly offensive. And it actually feels like a personal attack, especially when you just block the person or unmatch them, or like, that's it. No more conversation. Like, as moms, when we get into a relationship or get into a marriage, that marriage in our mind is for life. Unfortunately, there are circumstances that don't allow that to be the case. It's like you get divorced and then you get married again and then you have a couple more kids and then who knows, that guy kicks rocks. He leaves you in the dust. Or what if you're in this long-term relationship, you get pregnant, the dude finds out and peaced out. Like, there are so many different things, and none of you guys are giving me an insight into why you ask it. You're all telling me that you're being judgmental assholes and judging a number. So I want to know, I'm going to start asking, how many girls have you? And then block that. If you've only slept with 3 people, cool. If you slept more than 5, no, I'm blocking you. Done. See what I'm saying? Do you see how messed up this is? Because it's not all on the woman. Period. We might carry the baby and then inevitably end up raising them for the majority on our own. And a majority of us don't even get child support or very little thereof. But now we're being judged because of circumstantial situations. Like, make it make sense, because man's math is not mathing right now.
And so as I'm listening to her speak more, I'm realizing that this sounds like a personal testimony. She's speaking about personal experiences, it sounds like to me. And what she's realizing is that men have standards. There are some men out there who they have a standard. And if they ask questions and you don't answer to their liking, that means you don't meet their standards and they're moving on. There's no need for discussion. There's no need for excuses. There's no need for understanding. You simply don't qualify for what their standards are when it comes to a woman who they would take seriously. And that's okay. Women have been doing it for decades now when it comes to men. It's about time that men actually start taking more time to consider the woman who they are going to get into a serious committed relationship with, and not simply accepting anything that says yes to them. And so when you're dealing with someone who they refuse to ever take accountability, they always want to blame the other person. I mean, I don't even know if she recognized what she was doing, but in every made up scenario she gave us, it was always the man's fault. 3 kids, and then I found out he was a psychopath. Really? 3 kids in, and then you find out he was a psychopath? I want to paint the picture for you for a second, because words matter. Words are very important, and people say things, and I don't really think people consider how much weight their words actually hold. So let's really think about what she just said. 27 months of pregnancy you gave this man. 3 different times where you had to deal with morning sickness, staying in the bed because you're tired, going through however many hours of labor, learning what type of husband and father he is, do baby number 1 and baby number 2 and baby number 3. And it was only after that 3rd child came did you finally come to this epiphany state where you realize this man's a psychopath. Only if you would have figured it out before you had 3 children. But no, it's not your fault. You just were being bamboozled, tricked. He's some sort of magician when it comes to being able to disguise his true identity. And so I think it's a good thing, having a standard, asking questions, not wasting your time on people who you don't even want to bother with because they don't even align with you and the type of life you want to live. That's not a bad thing. Everybody should have that as far as baseline minimum. So that way you don't waste your time on people who they just don't match up with where you're going in life. And they never will, based on the decisions they've already made in their past. Anyway, guys, questions, comments, those your feedback. Let me know what you think about this topic. Drop your comments down below. I appreciate when you guys take the time to chime in. Don't forget, you enjoy any part of the content, make sure you smash the like button for more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.